Alright, today we're going to talk a little bit about drawing faces and the reality of what face proportions are like. I think probably one of the trickiest things about drawing faces is knowing how far apart to place things. So let me show you a picture. If I show you this picture, look at the trees in this picture. Let me show it to you a little closer. If you were to tell me which one is the biggest tree in the picture, which one would appear to be the biggest? I'd say most of you would probably pick this one right here. And it does indeed look bigger, but if you took your pencil and you actually measured it, like put your pencil tip at the top of the pencil and pinch it off where it meets the trunk, it is bigger than this one. It is bigger than this one. If you compare it to the first one, they're basically the same size. And you're like, how's that possible? Well, remember, this is art. It's just an illusion. Because this thing is higher on the page, we believe that it's further away. Also, the perspective lines here help us believe that it's further away too. But if you actually measured this tree and compared to this one, they are literally the same length on this piece of paper. Well, when you're drawing faces, sometimes we believe certain things are true as far as how far apart things are, how close together things are, how high or low features are in the face, but sometimes that's not reality. So keep that in mind as we start drawing the human face. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a blank shape, an upside down egg shape that is going to approximate the shape of a face. Now this is a frontal view, and so when you draw this, don't worry about trying to be perfect. I would say, let's say that the bald head is going to be here. We're going to leave a little room from the top of the page to make sure there's room for hair. And then we'll make some room here. This is going to be where the chin is going to be. Okay, I'll make these marks a little darker so you can see them on this video a little bit better. Now, I'm not going to worry about making this a perfect shape the first time I draw it. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to just lightly draw it, and I'm going to go just a little bigger at the top and a little narrower at the bottom. And I do this several times until I get something that kind of looks like an egg. It's going to be skinnier here and wider here. And my lines might look a little light on the camera here, but don't worry. This is going to be just a starting point. Now, we're not going to actually use this exact shape at the end. We'll come in and we'll probably change the jawline a little bit and the chin a little bit. This will get us started. So this is the basic face shape. If you had like a lot of massive, messy lines, you could erase some of them away, but mine are pretty well okay, so I'm going to go with it. Now, we're drawing a face from the front, so we're going to make this face have symmetrical balance. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to find the middle of the face. I think it's here. Make a guess about where you think middle is from here to here. Where's middle? Now, before you trust yourself, take your pencil, put your pencil tip right there at that line. Take your fingers and pinch the pencil at the right side of the head. Now, I'm going to compare this length of pencil from here to here, this half to this half, and see if they're the same. And as it turns out, mine is the same, so I'm good. If it had been a little too far over, I just would have made a new line, and then I would have checked it again until I got a line that was in the middle. So if you need to pause the video and do that at this time, go for it. I'm going to go ahead and make a light line that is going to go all the way up and all the way down. Now at the end, we will erase this line away. This line is just to help us have some symmetrical balance for the face. Okay? Now, let's start off with the most basic proportion of the human face. And the most basic proportion of the human face is the eye level. If I were to ask you, how far from the chin to the top of a bald head do you think the eyes are? Well, most people would say, well, it's about a third of the way up or a fourth of the way up. But that is not true. Believe it or not, on a bald head, from the chin to the head, when you're looking at a person eye to eye, head on, the eyes are actually in the middle of the head, the middle. And it's hard for us to believe that. But the reason why that we think that they're higher is because all the interesting features of the face are from the eyes down. And because that, we believe, is the most important part of the face, we believe it's bigger. But actually, it's in the middle. Also, the top of the head is curving away from you. And because it's curving away from you, we believe that it's shorter than what it is. But this is actually the distance from the middle to the top of your head. So what we're going to do is let's put the eye level line in at half. I'm going to make a guess where I think half is. But before I draw this line all the way across, I'm going to take my picture, I'm going to take my pencil, and I'm going to put my pencil point right where I believe the eye level line is. I'm going to pinch my pencil where the chin is. Okay, I'm going to take this distance of this pencil, and I'm going to compare it to this half. So I come up here, and when I compare it, I did pretty good on my first guess. If you didn't get yours right on the first guess, you can pause this video, and go in and get it right. But if I had made it really, really low, and I said, okay, this is where I think half is, and I said, oh, it's too low, then I would keep going higher and higher and double checking it every time until I believe I got it right. So here's the eye level. Now let's put in where the nose is going to be. How far do you believe the nose is from the eye line to the bottom of the chin? Well, a lot of people think that it's half, but it's actually less than half. It's less than halfway down, but it's more than a third of the way down. A third of the way is too short, a half is too long. Well, how do I figure that out, Mr. Norris? Well, what you'll do is find where you think half is. Okay, I think that's half. Half is too long, so I'm going to go a little higher, and I'm going to make a little mark. Now, I don't need to draw this line all the way across, but I do want to check and make sure that this distance is right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to pinch it right here. And if I can fit 2 of these distances in, then it's too long. If I can fit 3 of these distances between the eyes and the chin, then it's too short. Well, I'm kind of in between. If I had done this measurement and it was half or really, really close to half, it'd be too long. If I had done this measurement and I had gotten 3 exactly in there or really, really close to 3, it'd be too short. And I would need to go back and change where this line is. But my line kind of fits where it needs to be. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to figure out where the middle mouth line is. Now, the middle mouth line, from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin, the middle mouth line, that's where the talk comes out and the food goes in. It's the line between your lips. That line is actually 1/3 of the distance from the nose to the chin when you're facing someone head on, when their face is at rest, when they're not smiling or talking or yelling or frowning. So what's a third? Well, I just take my fingers and I say, okay, let's come in about 1/3 of the way, and I make a guess. And when I think I've got it, I make a little mark. And then what I do is I take my pencil and I measure the distance from the nose to where I think the lips are. If I can put 3 of these distances from the nose to the chin, then I know the mouth's in the right place. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I think I'm a little too high, so I think I need to go a little lower. Let's try this one. Put my pencil tip at the nose, put my finger on the lips. 1, 2, 3. That's about right. So this is about where the mouth should be. Okay? So we're just trying to get the proportions. Again, this is a person that's facing us head on. They're not turned to the side. They're looking at us directly eye to eye. Now we've got a couple more proportions to get, and then after that we'll be able to start drawing facial features. Okay? So let's talk about how wide eyes are. Because a lot of people either draw them too small, or too big, or too close together, or too far apart. Well, believe it or not, there are 5 equal eye lengths across the head. If you took your fingers and you actually measured the distance between your eyes and compared it to your eye, you would see it's about the same. And so, as far as the distance from the end of the eyes to here, if we grab and pinch the bone, it feels a lot skinnier. But remember, when we're looking at someone head on, we're not looking at the bone between their eye and their head. We're actually seeing like the end of their head too. There are 5 equal lengths across here. Now there's 2 ways that I can find that measurement. I can guess at it, or I can measure it with a ruler. So let me show you both ways. If I want to guess at it, I'm like, okay, this is the middle of the face. I think the eyes are this far apart. I'm just going to make a guess, and I try to make sure I get an even amount on both sides. So that way I'm like, okay, I think the eyes are this far apart. That's the distance between my eyes, and I try to make sure it's even. That's the middle point of the head. Okay, now how do I know if that's the distance between the eyes? Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure this distance right here. If I can fit 2 of these over here and 2 of these over here, I've got 5 equal lengths. Let's see if I'm right. 1, okay, so I've got 1 and 2. It's a little long. Let's try it over here. 1 and 2, it's a little long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to go a little narrower, just a little bit on each side. Now let me see if I can fit 2 now. There's the eyes, this is the eye length between the eyes. I've got 1 and 2. Ooh, that's pretty good. So I think I'm good there. So that's where the eye's going to end. And let's see, the same length, we'll do it over here. Yeah, that's good. All right, so this gives me my 5 equal eye lengths, okay? That's going to get me exactly where I needed to go. Now, if you are not a good guesser, if you can't guess and get it right, one way that you could get it for sure, you could take a ruler and you could use the millimeter side and put your 0 at the end of the head and measure. Now, my measurement's going to be different from yours. I've got 10.5 centimeters. Okay, 10.5 centimeters is the same as 105 millimeters. I just multiply by 10. Centimeters are these big marks. The millimeters are the little tiny marks in between. Okay, so what I would do is I would take that 105 and I would divide it by 5. And so 5 into 105 is pretty easy. It's going to be 21 millimeters. So what I could have done then was is take my ruler and say, okay, 21, make a mark, go 21 more, make a mark, 21 more, make a mark, 21, make a mark. And if I didn't want to add them all together, I could just go 21, 21, 21, and I would have the distance. Now we've got the proportions that we need to start drawing the features of the face.